dresser in your room. If not, there are Band-Aids in the top white bin.
I looked at those. They're not big enough because I'm looking for those ones that you can like.
And she has a health background or education in nutrition. And she's currently working in Whole Foods, but interested in expanding or possibly switching careers. And this seems to be a perfect fit for her. So I'm really excited to get to know her more and for everyone else to get to know her more. And it's nice to see you, Shauna and Trisha. Hi.
Yeah, and then it's Trisha's first time on a call too tonight. So, so Ariel, even for background for you, it's kind of neat. So Jocelyn, Shauna, and Trisha and I actually all grew up in the same small town. But Jocelyn, I never knew her that well. Like I knew her younger brother. We went to school together. So it's funny how you can kind of end up connecting with people. And Shauna and I kind of recognized each other, but like didn't know each other that well. And Trisha, I actually knew a little bit better than the other two. But Trisha is just going to be starting her business pretty soon here too. So it's kind of nice to see the dynamic of how people can get connected together again. And Trisha, even, she's got a bit of a background. She's kind of dabbled in direct sales with a couple of companies before, but she just hasn't found like that perfect fit for her yet. So she's someone who was kind of watching what I was doing with Shackley. She had reached out to me and, offered support too when I had first started. And then she's seen Jocelyn start and the success that she's had already. And then she saw that Shauna started as well. So that instantly intrigued her. And she's like, okay, what's going on? Tell me more about this. So I'm super excited to have you on, Trisha. And I know everyone that's in Ontario, you're up a little bit later with the time change. So thank you for making it a priority and jumping on. Okay, so I'm just going to dive right into this call. And if anyone has any questions afterwards, please let me know. In terms of communication with social marketing, I think that this is an area that ultimately I will say I have learned through experience. I have learned through trial and error. I have learned through listening to podcasts and reading books on communication skill sets. And it's something where when you're first developing, say, communication skills that aren't natural to you and you're looking to advance them, it is something that it takes work and it takes conscious effort and it takes reflection on yourself and how you communicate. So it like definitely be easy on yourselves and know it's a work in progress, and you're only going to get better with more time and more practice. And I love to start this with saying, there's this one quote that someone had said to me, and it's something I always remind myself of, because I can tell you there's 100 situations where I've stumbled on my words and I've said something that I just thought, I can't believe I even just said this to this person right now. There's no way they're going to want to talk to me again. There's no way they're going to want to do business with me. I just sounded like an idiot. But you're never going to say the wrong thing to the right person. I'm going to say it again. You're never going to say the wrong thing to the right person. So if you're saying something to someone who has any of the kind of characters or personalities that I can say all of you have on this call, if someone stumbles on their words or says something silly, you're never going to hold that against them. Like, you're still going to hear them out. You're going to give them the opportunity to explain, and you're probably going to see past that and hear everything else that they have to share. So if you're connecting with the right person and they're open and willing, and they see your heart and they're open and willing to hearing what you have to say, like, it's okay if you stumble on your words. Like, never take that too personally. Just learn from it and fail forward, as I like to say. So we'll go through a couple of the categories that I think are super important. Number one, an exercise for you guys on self-reflection is when it comes to when you were introduced to the business. Because typically when we think about communication here, we think of like, how can I share this with people? How can I, share it with someone who doesn't know anything about direct sales? How do I not like word vomit on them? How do I not just like overload them with excitement or information? How do I intrigue them or just help them to see that they should give this the time of day? So I want you to reflect on your own experience, and I want you to kind of write down, okay, like what was intriguing to you? How was the business opportunity presented to you? If it was you were exposed to the products first, what was your exposure? What kind of information was shared up front? What did you find attractive in terms of the person that was speaking to you. Make sure you understand your own situation, because if you know what made it feel like an inviting, warm conversation for you, typically the people that you're going to be attracting into your business, or the people you're going to be connecting to, are going to connect with you as a person as well and appreciate those same things. So always reflect, even when it comes to, say, anyone who's ever been like a mentor to you in the past, a teacher, a friend, like, or even say if you listen to someone on a podcast and you really appreciate the way that you speak, analyze how they do that. Is it, or even say, for example, I just said, I'm always conscious of, do I say, or do I say like out of context? Those are things that you can pick up in communication that you can notice with other people, but sometimes it's hard to notice with yourself. So think of communication styles. There's again. Do you take a break when you're speaking? Do you take time and ask people to pause and reflect on that note? Did people say in conversations too, one of the things we'll talk about is active listening. So asking questions more than you're speaking. Analyze those kinds of things and think, okay, what do you appreciate when you're listening to someone speak? And that's how I would say I've naturally developed my communication skills here. I've always thought about, what do I appreciate when I'm having these kinds of conversations with someone? Especially when you're sharing products, even on the sales sides of things. Multiple of you have heard me say this. I try to defy the norm of, or like those old school stereotypes of being a salesperson. I never ever want to come across salesy, and I never ever want to come across like I'm pitching someone on a business. I genuinely look to serve and help people. So I tailor my communication to, how can I help you? How can I support you? Even in terms of professionalism, this is a good point to bring up actually. When you think of anyone else who's looking for a work opportunity, or they're going for a job interview, I try to actually tailor the way that I organize my meetings and the way that I speak to people in a way that they're typically comfortable with and familiar with. I make it more casual, and I make it more like easygoing, like a natural conversation, so that that pressure is off. But when I'm booking appointments or I'm connecting with people that are strangers to me, I approach it professionally the same way I would as if it was any other business, or say if I was going for a nursing interview, because that's what people expect and are comfortable with, and they'll look at it professionally too. So when you think of communication, think of it in a professional aspect as well, just not like a natural, organic way. So one big thing is, like I said, reflect on yourself, reflect on how other people speak. The other thing that I'd advise you to look into is how you can simplify your message. So simplifying the way that you communicate, and even tailoring your communication to the kind of person that you are connecting with, is a big thing. So say, for example, you have someone who has a background in business and they understand certain terminologies. Like one girl, I remember when I learned about the term sole proprietorship, I had never even heard about it until she asked me, is this business a sole proprietorship? And I was like, good question. Let me look into that and see. So people who have a business background and they're approaching it from a very professional way, they're going to appreciate communication that is in that kind of nature. And obviously, like I said, you're going to learn that through experience and learning some terminology yourself. But if people are expecting that professionalism, bring professionalism forward. If they're coming into it and they're wanting to know straight, tell me business details, tell me what the compensation plan is, how do I make money, how do I share this with people, then go straight into that avenue. If people care more about the bigger way of serving people and helping people, and they care more about the environmental aspects of everything that this company does to offer ways to support the environment and the planet, then lead more with that direction. So really tailor your conversations towards what people are looking for. It's always good to share your why, and why you do this business, but ultimately people are going to be wanting the answers that they're looking for, and they might not always be the things that you think that you should be delivering. So when it comes to simplifying those messages, I always say, and this is something that like we'll have to teach you kind of as you go, simplifying is, say for example, compensation plan. you can explain, we get paid in multiple different ways. Ultimately, you get paid on products being purchased, and then you get paid by helping people to grow their own businesses as well. So I always say there's two avenues that we make money. Simple terms, we help people to get onto healthier products, and you make commissions on those. You help people to grow a business, share the products themselves as well with people who are interested in healthier products, and then you get commissions on that as well. So simplifying in that way helps people to come to grasps with it in the beginning. And then after you have, say, that initial meeting where you provide those simple overviews of a message, then you can go into further details on the areas that they want further clarity into. It can be a lot of information overload. Imagine even, so Jocelyn and Shauna, you've done a bit of a training on the compensation plan right now. Imagine if, like, first conversation up front, you went into all those details about every single level. Even for Ariella and Trisha, the way that we do our training is we give you what you need to know right now, and we give you immediate next steps of what you need to know. Because if you think about, like, every single little detail that encompasses this business, it is overwhelming, and it's a whole new industry to learn, especially when you're brand new to it. So always think of, how can I simplify this? Same when it comes to products. If anyone is looking into, say they want to lose weight and they want to get healthy, then I would make sure that you're looking at, okay, what's our healthy weight and cleanse package, and how can I help them to see those results the fastest, and how can I review this content with them in an easy, simple manner. So when it comes to products, honestly, just take that like individually based. When someone asks you a question, look at the products. All the information that you need is there on the Shaklee website underneath the product category. And then it's also available. There's resources under the tools section that you can look into. And then you can always ask, say, people in the Facebook group. You can always put questions up there, and you can always reach out to your uplines too to ask them if they have experience with those products or how to support. So that one, usually if it's a specific product, you can give a little bit more tailored information, because that's what people are looking for. Another area, so like I said, simple messages. Another area when it comes to communication is that active listening piece. And I think if you think about this to yourselves, if you're having a conversation with someone and you feel like it's one-sided and one person is talking more and telling you about themselves than they are like listening to you and getting to know you and hearing you out, you kind of feel like it's not, like they're not genuinely interested in you, right? And it's tricky. Sometimes you do feel like you might be, even say, for example, we chatted with Ariella today, and because I was so conscious of like juggling my time with Maddie, there was a couple of times I thought, am I over talking right now? Like, I hope she doesn't think that. But so be mindful of how much you are talking and how much you are asking questions to get to know the person. When it comes to communication with leading people through, say, business opportunity, I always first, and you guys can write this down if you want, my series of kind of how I get to know somebody is I always share first my why for doing the business. Like, usually there's a bit of small talk in the beginning. I always share my why for doing the business and what I saw in this business and kind of my story that led up to it. And we always say people connect to the why and who you are as a person before they'll connect to this business model and the facts about it. You need to establish like a sense of trust first, right? Especially if it's someone that you don't know, and this is the first time that you're really getting to know them. How do you establish trust in a few minutes, or in that first 5 minutes? That's how you do it, by sharing your personal story and just being genuine and real with who you are. So always be authentic with what you're saying. Like, never say, for example, feel like you need to speak the way that I do, or feel like if you're sending a text message to someone that you need to copy and paste the way that Jocelyn would say something. Like, be just authentically you, because that's the most natural way that you're going to grow in this business, is being you and finding your fit and your way of talking to people. So sharing your why is kind of step one. And then that second piece is, I want to hear someone else. I want to hear their story. And I'm going to use Ariella as an example because she's brand new and we just had that conversation today. She moved from New York, and usually, there's a reason why someone looks for a change and goes to another country even. And even when I look at that situation, I'm always analyzing. You can pick up details about who a person is even when you ask those kinds of questions. Like that instantly to me told me that she is like so open to change and she's open to new opportunities. And that is something that you want to look for in people who are starting business with you here, right? So that already told me like 100 things about her, even though I don't know her that well yet. It already gave me an idea of who she was. So, and I wouldn't have known that question, or I wouldn't have known that if I didn't ask those questions. So I always ask, like, what's your background professionally? I always ask questions like, what did you love about the work that you were doing? What did you not like about the work that you're doing? Obviously, if they're on a business call looking for another opportunity, chances are they're not fulfilled and there's something missing. There's some gap, whether it's time or passion or money, depending on the situation. Like it's usually one of those few things. Or even just, they're looking for a change of pace and a change of scenery. So, or they're wanting to travel. Like it could be so many different things, but you're not going to find out those answers until you ask those questions and really get to know them. And that is where, so after you share your why, and then you get to know that person and find out their why. So essentially you're asking questions and keep asking until you figure out what that why is. If you learn that they want more fulfillment or they want more money, make sure you even ask further, well, why is that? Like if you were looking to earn an additional stream of income or a higher income level, what would that be for you? It like get really, really deep. And it might seem funny at first, but actually people appreciate it and they're open to, sometimes people don't ask that question. Like a lot of people can ask surface level questions, and I feel like that's where the trust does start to build. And it's stuff that you share about yourself too. But when they can share that in return and you can truly understand them, that's when you can deliver the way that this business could work for them. And you're not going to know until you ask. So if someone says to me, I'd love a business where, say, like I could earn more money, but I don't have the finances to go back to school to be able to earn like another degree, or I don't have the time to, then, okay, here's how this business could work for you, because it's part-time hours. You get to choose the hours you're working. You get to choose how you fit this into your day-to-day life. Let's look at your schedule together. I can show you how. This is an example of how much money you could earn in your first month based on putting these kinds of hours in. Like you can really paint a clear picture of how this could work for that person. But like I said, unless you ask those questions, you're not going to be able to paint that picture. So when it comes to then showing how this business could work for someone, once again, that simplicity, but really, really clarifying, like paint such a visual, detailed picture and ask that question, like, would this work for you? Don't be afraid to always check in too and say, like, how do you feel about that? How does that sound? Would you agree? Like, is this something that's resonating with you? Even never be afraid to ask things like, obviously you never want to pressure anyone. If people aren't feeling ready to do the business and they feel like it's not a fit for them, that's totally fine. We're not here to force people into anything, and we're only here to help people who genuinely want to be helped. But I always ask people questions like, okay, do you see how are you feeling? A scale of even 0 to 10 is a good way of asking. Like, do you feel like you'd be ready to do this like right now? Do you want to get up and going? Do you need a bit more time? Can I provide you more resources so that you can come to an informed decision of whether or not this would be a good fit for you? If, say, for example, people do need a little bit more time, I even ask as well, usually when people say they need more time, a lot of the times it can be fears that are coming in. So fears of unknown, fears of learning something new, fears of what will people think of me if I'm, changing professions and starting a new career. Can you still hear me? Okay. Rob decided to go through a car wash. As we're going through it, I'm like, oh my gosh, why are we doing this right now? Oh gosh, I'm sorry. If it gets bad, just let me know. But I always ask people too, what are your fears and your hesitations? And this might seem like something that might be uncomfortable to ask people, but the fears and hesitations are the biggest things to support people in, because a lot of the times it's not actually it's not something that is an obstacle that should prevent them from business. They just need a bit more information, or they need to feel a bit more support in that area, or the picture needs to be painted clearer of what that would look like for them. So always ask that question as well. And usually, like I said, when people need more time or it's a matter of they don't feel ready yet, it's because of those fears. And then furthermore, another great question to ask when it comes, is it too loud, Jocelyn? No? Okay. Another great question when it comes to those fears and hesitations is if someone says to me, you know, like, say for example, prime example, when I first started a business like this, I was full-term pregnant and I was expecting a baby in 2 months. So even Rob, even you know, people in my life, they kind of said, are you sure you want to take on a new business when you don't even know what it's like to be a mom? You don't know what it's like to care for a baby. What are you going to do if this doesn't work for you or you can't juggle it all? But I said to myself, like, what if it does work though? Like, what if I build my business really well in the 2 months? I get myself organized. I have a wicked team of people that are going to be supporting me through that transition period anyways. Like, I know that I'm not in business alone. So what if it does work and everything is fine for me? Like, I don't know. I always looked at the what if, and that's what I help other people to try to see is like, but what if it could? And a lot of the times too, when people share those fears and hesitancies, if they could overcome them and if they could feel supported in overcoming those fears, they do want to, especially like the fear of talking or connecting with new people or fear of public speaking. Those are all skill sets that if someone considers themselves a shy person, you can probably ask any shy person. I bet you they wish they didn't feel shy and that they felt more comfortable with people. So I like to ask that question too. So usually, what are your fears and hesitations? I give an example of how I can support them through those, like how I've done that in the past or how I foresee myself doing that, so that they know that it's okay to feel those fears, but I can help you work through it. And then the other thing is, I always, if they're still kind of on the edge, I always say, like, if I could help you overcome this though, like, would you want to? If you could be da 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 da, would you prefer to be that way? And usually people always say yes. So it's just a matter of people feeling like you are genuine. And I'll say this 100 times is if you come across like you are actually genuine and authentic and you truly mean it, which you would be if you're being authentic, people will see that and that's what they will connect to more than the process. So that's kind of getting into, we've gone over simplifying things. We've gone over providing a lot of clarity, being an active listener, and asking a lot of questions to connect with people. And oh my gosh, this car wash is like probably distracting me more than it's distracting you guys. And then the other thing is tailoring your communication to what the person is coming in and asking for. So those are kind of like the big four main areas, I'd say. And just learning as you go. Like this whole business, we've said from day one, and you know, taking that leap of faith and starting this, that this business is something that you do learn as you go. So your trust needs to be in the person that is supporting you through it. And if you can build that trust and you can just reassure people that, you know, you've got the time to try this out, you've got the time. I always tell people about the full refund and that it's an unlimited refund. I always include that piece of information because I think of what would provide me a sense of like comfort if this is my first time doing this. And I know that that's something that I appreciate. I would always include the DSA, letting everyone know that we're a member of the Direct Sales Association. So for Ariella and Trisha, and Trisha, you might be aware of this already, but the Direct Sellers Association is basically, it's a governing body that we are a member of. We pay to be a member of this governing body for Canada, and it is a stamp of security, a stamp of approval, showing that our company, Shaklee, is an ethical company, that what we market, that what we do, what we stand for is all true. So I would definitely look into, if you don't know what pyramid schemes were in the past, I would look into understanding where that term came from and like how it was established historically, and how that does not pertain to our business, and it does not pertain to any business that's a part of the DSA. So even when it comes to communicating certain things like that, you're gonna come up with those questions that people are going to ask you routinely. And pyramid scheme is going to be one of them here and there, especially from like an older generation. And make sure that if you're ever encountering something where you don't know how to express yourself clearly, or you don't know how to answer a question, it's okay for you not to know, but turn to your sponsor or ask someone. Even they don't have to be a direct sponsor, but say if you connect really well with someone else who's working as a part of our bigger team, but you're not directly linked, don't hesitate to reach out to them to say like, hey, can you help me through this? And always just tell the person that is asking the question, you know, I don't know the answer to that right now, but I'm gonna find out for you. Never say I don't know. Always say, you know, I haven't had to look into that yet, but let me look into it for you, and I will let you know. I will find the answer out for you. That's the big thing. And one other, we'll kind of finish off, because I know I'm going all over the place and kind of giving general overviews, but the one other big thing too is learning through what your sponsors are communicating. So when you do the getting started package, it gives you a lot of direction in there. It gives you a lot of direction about communication further and how to connect with people and share Shaklee. What we do is in the beginning, your first few months in business, you're never alone and you're never by yourself. Even a year into it, if you need me for a call to meet someone, I am on that call. I don't care how far down you are in my business network, I am there to support you. And I know that everyone in this group embodies that same culture and support. But if when you're first starting out, I always recommend get your sponsor on a call with you to meet your prospects. Same with if they're in person, invite your sponsor to come and meet them in person with you. Never do your appointments. Really, you can do them individually, but I would always advise doing at least 2 to 3 appointments in the beginning with your sponsor, because you're going to learn from hearing how they speak. The more and more that you learn how someone tackles an objection, how someone shares the compensation, how someone shares this business opportunity, how they learn to ask questions to learn more about someone, you're going to learn from seeing how they speak. So I was a big I was hesitant in doing this in the beginning of my old business that I had. I kept thinking if I had someone on a 3-way call, or if I had someone sharing information for me or speaking essentially for me, that someone wouldn't take me professionally, or they wouldn't look up to me as like their leader, or they would think that maybe I didn't know what I was talking about, or like that I couldn't answer questions. And that hindered my business growth. I didn't help anyone in business with my old company for 6 months. I only shared products. And that month that I allowed my upline to jump on a call with me, because they weren't in Calgary, they were actually in California, in Ontario. So the second that I allowed them to jump on a 3-way call with me, that single month I had sponsored 10 people into business. 10 people. And I could have done that the whole time and continued growing if I just would have allowed my team to support me, and if I would have been open to the mentorship and coaching. And I was. It took me longer for me to become comfortable to allow it. So definitely take advantage of that in the beginning, and know that it actually is never a poor reflection on you when you have people assisting you with sharing some of that information. If anything, it shows the prospect, or it shows even someone who's just looking at products, what our team culture is like, and how much support is there, and how they're not alone in business. It actually is a really, really good reflection, and it gives them an opportunity to hear someone else's story. So someone that you are connecting with, they might not always connect with your why, or like even the way that you deliver information, but when they hear it from someone else, they might register it better, and they might click and connect more. So it's always a great thing to share, like, or to allow other people to support you and to share that kind of information. So I hope that gives a bit of direction in terms of like ways that you can communicate and things that you can start thinking about. Like I said, it's hard. I don't want to tell you to share something in this exact way. I don't want to tell you to talk about the business in this exact way. Like I want to give you the leadership and the direction to figure out how to do it in your own natural way, and how to find your way of sharing it. Because like I said, if you're doing business exactly the way that I do, there's going to be aspects that you're going to do, but you're going to find your own unique way. And that's what's going to make you love your business so much, because you found your fit. So I know that, say, for example, with my old company, a lot of the
Victoria, you've cut out.
text messages. Like, and I
Victoria, you've cut out.
I'll give an example of how I share information or how I send a message or call. Oh shoot! Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Oh no! Can you guys hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Hello? You can?
Yep, we're good.
Okay. It's because we just pulled into the driveway and my phone went to connect to my Wi-Fi.
I was gonna say I am here, but I look super cute and adorable and not all appropriate for like a call or whatever. But I'm here. I wasn't sure if it was cutting out, but Victoria, you go ahead. If you want me to take over, Victoria,
Where did I cut out?
But you're killing it, and I am loving this training. So you take over. I know I look like an '80s like ridiculous person or whatever. So
Where did I cut out?
Sunday night, I'm like, check out my super cute, super high pony half tail because my hair is cut to one side, so I have to like, anyways. So Victoria, you're killing it, and I'm sitting here listening, going, I'm taking notes, and I'm like, yes, amazing. So if any of you don't know who I am, my name's Erin McDowell. I normally look way more business-like than this. Jocelyn's like totally true, but we're all normal human beings, and so you know, I'm so love you all. But Victoria, go ahead. I'll mute myself again.
Where did I cut out?
Like try like a minute, like 30 seconds before you stop talking.
I don't know what I was saying.
Yeah, right.
I think the biggest thing is, like I said, like we really, everything that we do in terms of how we structure our training is to help you to grow into your own leadership, to help you to grow into your own business owner and your own person here. So not for you to conform to Shaklee or to conform to the way that I do business, but to find your own way of doing this. So in terms of like verbiage and like say text examples, like we can always give them, and I do like to give snapshots. Sometimes I give examples of ways that I've reached out and when there hasn't been great like a great response back and how I handled it, or I try to give those scenarios when I think that you can learn from them. But ultimately, like, and I always say, copy anything I do in business that you think that would work for you. If I do a social media post and you love how I word something, you have every right. I give you full rights to copy and paste my exact wording and to like claim it as your own. I don't care about that kind of thing. But I really think it's important that you find your own way of speaking and sharing this with people. So you need to, in order to be confident in terms of sharing the business, you got to learn the information first, and it's okay to learn as you go. But you can look at, like, you can, you know, to learn about the history, it's a matter of, you do have to memorize some things. Like, to learn about the history of Shaklee, you can hear it, but if you take the time to sit down one day and really like go over all the details and pick out a few key points that really resonate, connect with you, then great. You've got some information about the history of Shaklee. You know, maybe knowing the date that, you know, Dr. Shaklee first started making these products, and, you know, learning the date that maybe Shaklee came into Canada. Like, some of those things are facts, and those you have to learn through memorizing. But like I said, ultimately, you really need to inwardly reflect. You need to understand yourself, and you need to understand what it is you saw with this business and why you're doing this business. And you need to understand how to deliver, I would say, your message first and foremost of your why and why you're doing this and how you plan to help people, and even confidently knowing how you intend to grow your business and serve people. If you don't understand how to communicate that clearly, that's okay. Let us know. Your sponsor can always listen to you and give you feedback on your story. But if you don't know how to do that, you need to learn how to do that before you can start to share really facts, because you're not going to really intrigue people or attract them in until you know how to share you, if that makes sense. And then the facts we'll just learn as we go. So I hope that gives enough of a bit of an introduction. Erin, if you want to add anything in, let me know. I covered like a lot of content for half an hour.
Yeah, you sure
20
have.
minutes.
Oh, you're amazing. And while in the car, like, no big deal, whatever. Just
I know. Rob's like,
classic entrepreneur. I love it.
I'm still sitting in the truck when we got
I know.
home,
You're like,
and
go
Rob,
in.
like,
I've so done that. You're like, go in. I'm in the car. I gotta finish
I
this.
know.
Yeah.
he rolls his eyes at me, but I'm like, if I go in the door, my daughter's gonna be climbing on me saying, "Mommy,
Right. You're
mommy."
like, I can't go in yet.
So I'm gonna mute and let you.
Yeah, you mute. Go ahead. I'll mute you. You're good. And I'll end the call. Oh, sorry. I think I unmuted you. My bad. But I'll just close the call saying, you know, everything she said, I so resonate with. I know you guys don't know me yet, but I've been in the industry for 11 years. And the truth is, you've got to know the facts, but facts tell and stories sell. Because stories, and it's interesting because even in this industry, I don't look at myself as a salesperson. I look at myself as someone who represents things that I'm just truly love. And that was even why I got into Shaklee. Like I tried the products for a whole month, and I know Victoria did that for 2 months. And we both were like, listen, I take that vitalizing strip and the shakes in the morning, and I feel like $1,000,000. And so I'm not a scientist. I don't know all the magical goodness behind it. But you know what? Shaklee's done that for us. They've done the health print. So our clients can go and do the health print and sort of tell us what their needs are and do that for us. And they've made the products for us and have all these scientific reviewed, you know, peer reviewed studies for us that I go, I'm not the scientist, but you know what I do know? When I take these products on a daily basis, I feel like $1,000,000. And I just finished, I had done the 7-day cleanse about 3 weeks ago with Daria and Jocelyn. And then my partner Steve did it last week. And man, we both just were like, holy dynamite, do we feel like $1,000,000? And I'm like, listen, it's 7 days. Anyone can do anything. I think anyone can do anything for 30 days, but for 7 days, for sure. And so I created this document going, well, Jocelyn, actually, you inspired me and started me on this because she's friggin' amazing, to create this document that's just super easy and simple and duplicatable that you all can print out and just, it's pretty. I'm really about like, I do graphic design, not really like I pretend like I do. I pretend like I'm a fake graphic designer. Truth be told, we'll be all authentic. Kim knows, like I'm a super like, I use Pages with like my Mac computer, and then it comes out. People are like, oh my God, it's so pretty. I'm like, I just did it on Pages. Like everybody chill out for 10 seconds because I'm not a graphic designer. Like I really like things to look pretty because I know when I receive something and it looks nice, I'm way more likely to read it and absorb that information and actually give it 2 looks. So if it's not pretty, I'm out. If it doesn't look good or attractive, then whatever. So Shaklee didn't have anything that was like, you know, here's your 7-day cleanse. And so I created labels for our team. That's just like, you can just like, you know, staple it on and make it adorable. And so I have 4 different people doing it now, but I'm like, it looks good. So if they don't like it, that's not on me now, right? If I can do everything I can do, then it's all good. So the products speak for themselves. I'm trying my best to really create resources for you guys as a totally legitimate graphic designer. Although I'm pretty sure Shauna is an actual graphic designer. So feel free to absolutely judge. Is it not you, Shauna? Somebody on our team is an actual graphic designer. Shauna, I just gave you massive props. And she's like, not me, man. Just pretend like you'd be like, yeah, totally, yo. Be like, yeah, I'm a boss, whatever. But there's somebody in our team who's like a total graphic designer. I'm like, listen, you want to fix that stuff? Go right ahead. I have no ego around that. I just want our team to have amazing resources. So I'm going to let you all go. I know it's 9:40 and 10:40 in some places and 8:40 in other places, but we literally have the most amazing team rolling. And I love that we can get on our calls on Sunday night and all be super comfy and chill. I remember our first call, I was like, listen, y'all, I'm in like a messy bun. And so my other calls, typically if I do like a business call, I'd be like, I'm super dressed up and look good from like here to my waist. And then I'm like legit in sweatpants, like for sure. But if I'm doing a team call, I'm like, listen, we're all just comfy and probably Kim's like, yeah, oh, that's not cheers. Oh wait, they're empty. Well, I'm not quite empty, but you guys are amazing. I love you both. And, you know, this team is just so outstanding. And we're really, I have to tell you, and I know lots of you don't know this, but, and Victoria knows this, but we are starting something new in Shaklee that has never been started before, which is a whole bunch of really motivated, you know, young business entrepreneurs that are just like, listen, these products are great. and we're great. So let's create these incomes that are going to keep us all, home and have part-time incomes, full-time incomes, but we work part-time. So I can tell you right now, I've done this for 11 years. It works if you work it. So I love you all. You're amazing. I love the amazing group of women that we are getting around and creating. I love seeing all your cute little pictures up there. And I hope you have an amazing week. This will be recorded if you need to go back and watch it and be like, oh my God, Erin and Victoria are so cute. Well, her picture is like super bombshell, right? Like she's so beautiful. And so have an awesome week. Feel free. So I know that Victoria said, if you ever need anyone, get a hold of her. If you ever can't get a hold of her, because she's going to have a baby in like 4 months, I think. So tons of you are on her team. So if she has a baby for the first 3 weeks, you better text me right here. New baby, I'm your girl. I got you. Let her have her baby, but I got you. I'm here for you. If you ever can't get a hold of her, I'm your girl. I got you. I'm here with you. We got this. So have an amazing night. I can't wait to see what happens this next week, and we'll see you next Sunday. Bye.